Hey team, Adam from Built Beyond 40 here. Okay, so today I want to discuss one of the big compound movements, which is deadlifting, and I guess its variations, being stiff-legged deadlifts and Romanian deadlifts. And remember that you can also do deadlifts with dumbbells as well. But what I'm talking about today is the conventional barbell deadlift. I'm going to put barbell deadlift and I'm going to put stiff-legged deadlifts together in these two, in the cues that I'm going to give you for them. I think they should really be included in any routine that you do. You may have heard me talk in the past about having a really big engine. Okay, if your car has a big engine, it can generate a lot of power, right? Now, having compound movements like squats, a form of variation of bench press, variation of deadlift, rows, overhead pressing. Big compound movements can really pay dividends because what they do is, they allow the potential for more growth and more strength. Now, you don't necessarily have to work them all in the same cycle. For example, if you have a deadlift and a bench press in there, you may not need, you might want to give the squat a bit of a rest and concentrate on maybe like a hack squat or a leg press. You've already got two big engines in there, right? You've got the deadlift and you've got the bench press. Having the deadlift in there, and the reason I like it so much is its potential for loading, okay? With a deadlift, once you start to get serious on it, you can work up to some really big poundages, and those poundages will essentially have a knock-on effect throughout the rest of the body. What I've always found is that when my deadlift is strong and I'm going good and I'm getting reps on it, it tends to have a knock-on effect for the rest of my workout. In other words, I tend to get the potential for me getting stronger in all the other lifts that I have in my routine through the week shoots right up. Okay, so when I go over the 4 plates or the 400-pound deadlift, what I usually find is that my other lifts come along as well. It's like having a really big stone and throwing it into a pool, and you get that ripple effect where the epicenter might be where you've thrown the stone. The ripples are felt further out into the pond. And I guess if we're going to use that metaphor, then those ripples and the reach that they have would be the other exercises that you're using in your routine. So the two things that there are a lot of cues when it comes to deadlifting, and there are a lot of great instructional videos out there. And I think that eventually somewhere in this series, I'm going to take you down into the gym and we're going to have a look at, the deadlift properly. It'll probably be the first compound movement that I actually demonstrate. But there are fundamentally two things that I see going wrong with the deadlift. And initially, I thought it was only a few people doing this, but this is when I first started. But I've been guilty of doing it myself when I first started out. And the more gyms that I visit, it's two very basic common mistakes, and it all has to do with the setup before you even begin to pull the weight off the floor. Now, the first thing that I will say is that your foot positioning should be about, I like to have just inside of hip width. Okay, people go out really wide, and I don't get it, because the wider your stance is when it comes to a deadlift, that is that you're not doing a sumo deadlift, but with a conventional deadlift, you're just screwing around with your leverages. Think about how much more work you have to do. It's really inefficient. People cite Thor, the deadlift world record holder, as a guy who deadlifts wide, but this guy is an outlier, okay? He is almost 2 meters tall and over 400 pounds. So his deadlift stance is going to be substantially wider than most of ours, okay? So don't use someone like him as justification for going so wide on your deadlift, all right? That guy's an outlier. He is a genetic freak. Bringing it back to us regular folk. So I like to have my width, my stance is quite narrow, okay? The other thing is the bar needs to be mid-foot, and this is where people screw up, because when they think about mid-foot, they only think about the part of the foot that they can see. But there's the heel of your foot which goes behind you, behind the bar, which actually is the foot length that you're supposed to be halving. So if you are using, if you're only using the foot that you can, the part of the foot that you can see, when you set up, the bar's gonna start too far away from your body. And as soon as that happens, it's okay with like a light, it's not ever okay, but you'll get away with it with a light weight. But as soon as you start to put load on that bar, it'll never come off the floor, okay? The bar traveling too far away from the body is A, very, very inefficient and wrong, and B, can open you up to some very serious injuries. The second thing I see go wrong all the time is people don't open their hips when they deadlift. Now, think about what happens. If in that first movement you don't open the hip, like if you set up and before you pull, you don't open the hips, then you put a lot of strain and pressure on the lower back. Okay, you'll know as soon as it happens because it feels wrong, and you're just gonna blow out your discs in your lower back, and you don't want that to happen, okay? So if I can just press upon two things today, it is mid-foot is not just the part of the foot that you can see, but it extends to the heel as well, which is behind you. So mid-foot will mean that before you start, the bar is almost touching your shins, right? So actually when you make that when you go down, the bar will then touch your shins. Otherwise, you're going to end up with the bar way too far away from your body. The second thing is you need to open up your hips, and the way you do that is by moving your knees apart somewhat. Now, not too much, but just enough that they open. Otherwise, you're going to be pulling with your lower back, and you don't want that to happen. There is a third thing I will say. I mean, there's probably about 10 cues for deadlift, but the other thing I need to say here in that initial phase is that when you begin the pull, that bar needs to be traveling up along your body, okay? And you know that's happening because lats are then engaged. If you don't engage lats, okay, if you're like this, again, you're in trouble. As soon as that bar moves away from the body, you're opening yourself up to serious risk of injury. Okay, so that's the first two, and the third one, of course, is make sure that bar is traveling close to the body, okay, up the shins. Otherwise, if it moves away, it means your lats aren't engaged. Lats are not engaged, you got serious problems. Okay, so when it comes to deadlift, okay, it is one that you need to include in your program. Work on those first three cues. I might throw in a few others, on another video. I might actually get into the gym with the bar and show you myself. If you'd like to see that, just let me know in the comments. But yes, mid-foot means the whole foot, not just the part of the foot that you can see, okay, which will have the bar starting much closer than what you may have been starting at. All right, the other thing is you need to open up the hips. 3, that bar, as you pull, needs to come traveling up close to your body, and it can only do that when lats are actually engaged. Okay, I hope this has been really helpful for you. Take those cues to the gym, work it into your deadlift, see how it goes. All right, till next time.